Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kim Lamaster. I'm a personal banker with North American Savings Bank, and I've been with NASB for 5 years.
Hi, I'm Jaylene Moss, and I'm a branch manager for North American Savings Bank. I've been with the bank for 6 years now, and I have over 20 years of experience in the banking industry.
Okay, and we will be your presenters today for the webinar. We did want to let you know you will be on listen-only mode. You can send in questions to us that we will answer at the end of this webinar. We also want to invite you to do the survey that we have at the end of the webinar. So I kind of want to tell you who is NASB. North American Savings Bank is a Kansas City-based bank offering valuable banking solutions with all types of accounts to meet our customer needs. We do have 11 retail branch locations around the Kansas City area, and NASB is also one of the leading national mortgage lenders in the country. Kind of our objectives today are going to be to review some best practices relating to maintaining your financial fitness. We want to learn and go over some common methods of exploitation. Go through some popular scams and some steps to avoid being a victim of these scams, and address some popular banking misconceptions. So kind of the first part of financial fitness is getting organized. You want to make it easier to manage your money and to pay your bills. You might want to consider closing unused or unneeded accounts. It's a lot easier if you can set up direct deposit. That can also save you time. And if you set up automatic withdrawals, that can also help you save money. That'll kind of keep you on track to have your bills paid on time. Also, it'll save you on postage and taking that time to make out those bills and stamp them and get them through the mail. And also consider ways to save time and money would be to sign up for online banking through your financial provider. Electronic statements is a great way to avoid mail fraud. It is more secure and safe. There still is a lot of people that we hear, through the bank that have had their mail stolen out of their mailboxes. If you have a statement in there, they're going to be able to have all of your banking information. If you throw bills in your mailbox, put that flag up. A lot of people see that. They can grab your mail out. Then they have your check that they can potentially wash or commit fraud on. So going back to that is setting up electronic bill pay through your online banking. Makes it more convenient. All of your bills are kind of in one hub, one place. And that makes it more secure than having, your financial information out on several different websites, like maybe whoever you have your car loan through or whatever. So it kind of makes it more streamlined. And there again, you're saving, on stamps and saving time, like I said, having it all in one place. So also a good idea is to set up some sort of filing system for your personal finances. Creating some sort of budget and try to stick to that. And a lot of the online banking does have a budgeting tool. So I do that. I kind of like to be able to look and see, how much this month have I spent on, eating out or different things. So it's kind of a great way to kind of pay attention to really where your money's going. You can also set up automatic reminders on your online banking that'll let you know when a bill's due, set up those automatic bill payments. Balance your payments also within your payday, so kind of get those balanced out so you're really staying on time with your finances. Evaluate and pay off your debt as much as possible, and then really think of ways to kind of start saving money. So we do have a poll question we're going to send out to you guys.
We think we have a poll question for you today. What we'd like to ask you is how many of you out there use automatic bill payment? And I don't know, hopefully you guys can see that poll come up and you're voting on it. I'll give you a few minutes here to be able to answer that. I know bill pay saves me a lot of...
I don't remember the last time I bought stamps.
Yes, true. Saves me a lot of time and money, and make sure that my my payments are all on time. So very rarely do we have a customer that doesn't have bill pay these days, but it looks like 80% of you said yes, you do have bill payment, and 20% said no. So the 20% that said no, you may just want to, especially if you bank with NASB here, check with a personal banker or someone at the branch location that you bank at, and we would be more than happy to help you get that set up.
And once you do it, it makes, like I said, saves you time and money. You'll love it. You'll be glad you did.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to saving and investing. You kind of want to understand on your accounts, what are the tax and fee implications on accounts? Are there transaction limitations? Are there fees for early withdrawals? Something I kind of was thinking about on that would be, if your IRA tax penalties, an IRA or a 401k plan, if you're pulling out of that early, obviously there can be tax ramifications for that. Sometimes, depending what age you're at, there can also be like a penalty on that. Pulling a CD out before its maturity date, there will be bank penalties on that. So really think about, if there's another way you can resource money without, taking those penalties. And know what your potential overdraft exposure could be. If you have a debit card, which it has an opt-in, opt-out option. If you opt in, sometimes your financial institution will allow you to go a little bit over if you're trying to make a purchase on something with the debit card, even if you maybe don't have quite those funds in your account. But just keep in mind, if you choose to do that, there is fees incurred with that. So you really want to pay attention to that. On your online banking, if you link your checking and savings accounts together, there is Regulation D limits set. You can only do so many withdrawals, transfers per month on the phone or online, and that's on all savings products, money markets, and there can be fees to that, and those are regulated monthly. So also you want to keep tabs on your accounts. So for sure you want to set up online banking. If you do own a smartphone, you can even download your banking app, and you can set up alerts on that. So maybe a good thing to have is maybe set up alerts if maybe your balance gets down to a certain amount. So if it's down to under $100, it'll alert you or whatever. Because sometimes you kind of forget, especially if you have things set up automatically, what's coming out and kind of where you're at with your money. The next section we'll go to is spending money, which we all love to do. Create a plan, budget for your money, and limiting your expenses, especially going into retirement. So consider figuring out what you can do to decrease costs. One thing may be, to review any insurance policies, automobile policies, review something like a cable bill, which I feel like gets outrageous sometimes. Are you really using all those features? You might even consider doing budget billing on some of your utilities. So maybe that'll be easier to maintain, to know that every month your electric bill is the same amount or whatever. So sometimes that can kind of make it easier. Attempt to start or maintain a short-term savings for holiday gifts and incidentals. I know at NASB we have a great account called Deposit the Difference, that the more that you use your debit card for purchases, it rounds up to the next dollar and transfers that money into your account, your savings account. And then we do have some matching incentives with that also. So anything you can do to kind of start, saving that little fund is a great idea. And then you also want to review in detail your credit card and bank statements, because I think sometimes we tend to kind of just maybe not look at that in detail. But sometimes you want to look for any charges or fees that's going on. Look for any recurring fees and subscriptions. Or I know sometimes people have signed up for a trial offer that maybe like it's, you get to try this, maybe a facial product or something for $9.99, and then if you don't stop it in a certain time, then they'll automatically hit you with, a larger fee or whatever. So you really want to pay attention to that, because we've seen that a lot, that people don't realize that they're getting hit with these things. You want to limit where you provide your contact information so that you can kind of simmer down on the mails and the calls that you receive from marketers. So even something as little as putting your name and phone number on an entry form, for a free raffle prize or something at an event, is essentially giving your name and number to telemarketing companies potentially. I know lately it seems like retail stores and that is asking a lot for phone numbers and email addresses. So basically, the less exposure you have out there is going to mean the less unwanted calls and solicitations that you're going to get. You can utilize the National Do Not Call Registry, which is a great resource, and that does work. And then limit where, like I said, you provide your contact information. So those two things are great to kind of stop that solicitation. Okay, then we kind of go into talking about borrowing money. So even if you're not planning on, buying a new car or home or whatever, any new loans anytime soon, you always want to still pay attention to your credit report. Order a free credit report at least every 12 months from each of the three main credit bureaus, because sometimes their reporting can be a little bit different on each one. The three credit bureaus are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And there's also, I know sometimes on a lot of credit cards anymore, they do have a free monitoring system through your credit card, or there's a couple of great free apps out there also that can send you alerts if anybody's inquiring into your credit, if there's any changes to your credit. I know I use that, and it also, I like looking at it monthly just to kind of keep an eye on everything to be sure there aren't any errors, or anything on there. And then carefully consider before accepting any offer to advance your future pension, Social Security, or retirement income. Obviously, a lot of these companies will charge outrageous fees and interest, and actually it can cause you more of a financial problem down the line. So you really want to pay attention to those. You also want to use your credit cards carefully. You want to consider if you'll be able to pay off your balance in full each month. And even small purchases can add up to big bills. So, for instance, that latte at Starbucks or whatever that you buy every day, if you put that $5 on there, and then at the end of the month, that bill comes with some other things on there, and you're not able to pay that bill off, that latte can really add up quite a bit more money than that $5. So you really want to think about how you're using your credit cards. And then keep in mind, another thing that seems like we're hearing a lot of advertising about right now is reverse mortgages. They do have to be paid back with interest if that's something that you're thinking about. You must maintain current with your property taxes, and you want to consider the impact to a spouse living in the home. So experts recommend that both spouses sign a reverse mortgage because that allows the surviving spouse to remain in the home. Another option, because that's using the equity in your home, another option is a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, and that may be better for someone who just needs short-term cash and that they'll maybe potentially be able to repay it. So that might be another option to go instead of reverse mortgage. Of course, earning money. So you always, at any time you've got the potential to earn some extra money, that's a great way to save for that emergency fund. You want to consider ways to turn hobbies or other interests into a part-time job. So I know a lot of people that will do just seasonal work a couple of months at the end of the year to make some extra money for taxes, Christmas, etc. Consider some consulting work. And I know right now it seems like a lot of people that know how to sew can make some really neat masks that we all need right now. So that's a great way to earn some extra money. So just think about turning any hobby or an interest into something that you potentially could make some money at and save for that extra savings emergency fund. And then you want to think through potential financial impacts, especially going into retirement, things like Medicare costs, potential reductions to your Social Security benefits, and what could those tax implications be. And then finally, kind of know when to get help with your finances. Decide if you need financial help from an expert, and then you really want to do your due diligence on researching them, look at reviews, backgrounds, or maybe there's someone you know that's used somebody in the past that feels very confident with them. So really, before you take advice from a financial advisor, just be sure you do your homework on them. And you want to prepare for the possibility that you may be unable to handle your finances if you become incapacitated or whatever. So write down a list of your financial institutions and account numbers. Keep them in a safe place. Also, an attorney can help you decide if it's maybe appropriate that you may need to put a power of attorney in place to help you. And then consider if a co-owner makes sense to you. You also want to kind of figure out how your accounts are titled. Do you have beneficiaries into place? Or like I said, do you potentially need that power of attorney? And you also want to think about if you do decide to add a co-owner to your checking or savings account, if that co-owner has some liability, such as uncollected debt, or maybe they're having financial issues and potentially file bankruptcy, those assets potentially could be seized because they are a co-owner of those funds. So, like I said, just know how your accounts are titled and review those and see, maybe talk to someone or a financial expert and see really how you feel your accounts should be titled. And that's all I have for financial fitness.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
This is Jaylene, and I'll be covering the financial exploitation portion of our webinar today. And we'll start by giving you a definition of what financial exploitation is. And it's basically the illegal or unethical use of another person's resource for personal profit or gain. It is classified into two separate categories, basically exploitation by strangers and exploitation by non-strangers. Non-strangers would include friends, any type of relatives, acquaintances that the person is familiar with, and then strangers being someone that they have never met before. Some of the different types of exploitation that are perpetrated by persons known to the victim are the misappropriation of income and assets. This is basically using their money for purposes that are not for that person's care or for their benefit at all. The person who is perpetrating the exploitation is using the money for their personal gain, whether it's using their bank accounts, credit cards, debit cards to make purchases for themselves, things like that. Also, they could charge excessive rent or fees. So this would be someone who is a caregiver for a victim, and they give them basic services but charge them excessive amounts for the services, even providing transportation, like running to the store for them or taking them to doctor's appointments, and charge exorbitant fees for that. Another way that they exploit them is to obtain money or property by misrepresentation, fraud, or undue influence. And this could be by having them sign a document, something that they aren't familiar with what they are signing, to transfer property or transfer rights to something that they own. Fraud, and that's basically fraud too. So also undue influence, and a lot of victims are threatened with bodily harm. They are withheld from like medication, won't perform daily needs for the victim if they don't give them money or if they don't give them something in exchange. Some will go as far as threatening not to let them see their loved ones. And a lot of times the perpetrators will try to isolate the victims so that no one else knows what's going on outside of the victim and perpetrator. And there is the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has a elder abuse hotline that anyone can either call or fill out an online report of abuse anonymously. That's a hard word for me. And financial abuse is the most commonly reported crime by seniors, and that's according to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. So that's right here in Missouri that's the most commonly reported crime for them. Some of the types of exploitation by strangers are a lot of the common scams that we hear about, sometimes in the news, sometimes here at the bank. And the types of exploitation or scams that we're going to go over in a little bit more detail today are scams that we're seeing here in our branch locations here in the Kansas City metro area. These have actually happened to our customers or people that we know. So that's why we're going over these particular scams. At the end, after I go over the ones that we've seen here in the branch locations, I'll have a list of the top 10 scams of 2020 that the Consumer Fraud Reporting Organization lists as the top ones for you to be on the lookout for. So we will start with the fake accident and grandparent scam here. In 2018, the FTC reported that they received over 500,000 complaints of impersonation scams. Ways to avoid this are to be really diligent and vigilant about a couple of things. With the grandparent scam, a caller will call or send a message on Facebook to an elderly person impersonating one of their family members. A grandchild is the most common one. And people trust that it is their grandchild because they're trusting their caller ID. They're not asking questions. They're just put in panic mode because of the urgency that the perpetrator puts around getting money so that the grandchild can get out of jail or can get money so that he can get care at a hospital. There's all kinds of different scenarios that they come up with that they need money sent to this grandchild as quickly as possible. So this is something that you'll want to talk to your older family members about and really watch for signs that they may have been scammed because it does happen to elderly people a lot. Don't trust the caller ID. Make sure that they ask questions. When someone is trying to scam an elderly person, they try to make them act quickly and try to get them to send money as quick as possible before they have time to talk to anyone else about the crime or about the situation, because they don't want someone else to talk sense into the person to say, oh, no, that doesn't sound correct, or for them to even verify that their family member is okay. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't ever give them any more personal information over the phone than what they might already have. Don't rush into deciding, yes, I'm going to send them money, and I need to get to Western Union right now to do it. And trust your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't right. So really trust in your instincts and talk with your family members about stuff like this. What would happen in the event of an emergency if someone is out of town? Know when people in your family are out of town, and then be honest with your bank. If your banker asks questions, why are you sending money? Why I'm sorry, be honest with your bank, answer the questions of why they're sending the money, and be honest with them and report the incident to authorities, because if it happened to you, it's probably happened to someone else in the area, and the chances of catching that person are slim when it comes to frauds like this, but every little bit of information will help to catch someone doing it. The next one that I want to talk about is the lottery scam, and I know that most people have heard about this one, where you receive a letter in the mail that talks about you've won $3 million in the Canadian lottery, and they will sometimes send you a check with the letter and tell you to call an agent right away to confirm receipt of it and let them know when you've deposited into your account. What they're wanting to do is know that they have a potential victim on the hook, that they've got someone who is ready to deposit a check into their account. And a lot of times they will ask the person to send them back money for fees or to pay taxes out of the funds of the check, because they're sending you a fraudulent check. It may be an account that was actually a valid account at a financial institution, and a lot of times it is, and they'll send fake checks with correct routing number, account number, even the correct name of the person or business on the check, and hope that it doesn't get returned back by that financial institution through your account before you wire them money out of your account. A lot of people think that because the funds are available to you in your account, that means that they have cleared the other financial institution, but that's not necessarily the case. It can take 7 to 10 business days for the check to go through the Federal Reserve System to the other financial institution and then be returned back through the Federal Reserve and then back to your bank to let you know that it was returned as a fraudulent item. And a lot of fraudsters have the timing of that down to a science, and I've had people wire out money within hours of receiving notice, or not necessarily wire out, but send out or Western Union money, and then an hour or two later find out that the item was being returned to their account after they'd already sent it out. So don't be fooled by the appearance of the check. Remember that you don't have to pay any fees or taxes on any type of lottery that you have won, any legitimate lottery, and you will never be able to win a foreign lottery. You have to actually be a citizen of that country in order to win a lottery for that country. So U.S. citizens can only win lotteries here in the U.S. So if the letters come from Canada, automatically you'll know that it's a scam. Verify the person or company before you wire out the money or issue that check. And again, make sure that the check has cleared, not just made available in your account by your financial institution, but that it has had time to go to the bank that it was drawn off of and returned back to you before you send out any money. The next thing here is an example of a letter that one of our customers did actually receive in the mail. And if you look at it, it is from Multi-State Lottery Association. And if you look at the check, it is from Allstate. So that would be a red flag that there's something wrong here, because Allstate wouldn't be sending you a check out of their funds for you to pay any fees on lottery funds that you won. Also, it lists all kinds of different businesses at the bottom of the check: Reader's Digest, Mega Millions, all kinds of different organizations that you would relate to lotteries or sweepstakes, giving out money to try to make it appear more official, but it's not. So, and in the middle of the letter, you can also see that it asks you to call the claim manager with a security code. And if you do call that number, your number is automatically, your name and number are automatically going to be added to a scammers list and be sold to other scammers. So just know that by calling that number, you're going to be
putting yourself more at risk potentially.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you'll get more scammers calling you. So, all right. The next one is the romance scam. One of my favorites. These are really hard for people to see that it's happening to them. And I've seen an increase in this type of scam a lot here in the last 1.5 to 2 years at the bank, mainly due to social media. Most people have a social media presence out there and like to share their lives with the world. So with this one, a fraudster will troll social media sites, looking for individuals who have been either down on their luck or lost a loved one recently. They'll look for people that don't have a lot of family listed in their social media profile. They will target elderly, single women a lot of times, sometimes men, but mainly females are the ones who are falling for this. But I have had a few men that have fallen for these as well. So make sure that if you or a loved one has met someone online, that you really check out how you met them, the grammar that they use in their correspondence back and forth. One of the scammers that I read an article about scammers and how they pick their victims, and one of the ways that they know that they've got a good one basically on the hook is if the person will not pay attention to the grammar and still return a message back, even though it was grammar that was improper or didn't use the same English language structure that we would use here in the United States. They knew that they had a good one on the line, and so they would spend more time trying to scam that individual than others who would call them out for the improper grammar. So if the relationship progresses quicker than normal, that's a red flag. If someone asks you to marry them within a week or two or very quickly and you haven't even met, that's a red flag for this scam. I'm sorry, I clicked ahead there. A lot of times they will ask for money in order to invest for the person. They'll ask for money to travel to the United States to come and see them. There's all kinds of different reasons that they ask for money, and a lot of times they'll say that they are in the military. And just because you can Google the person's name and comes up with their picture on the internet doesn't mean that that's the actual person that you're talking to on the other side of the social media or phone or however you're using to communicate with these folks. So recently here in the Kansas City area, there was a victim who lost over $3 million on one of these romance scams. So they are getting very good at what they're doing. All right. So the next scam that we'll talk about is the telemarketing or mail fraud scam. With this one, people are asked to purchase valueless products, donate to a bogus charity, or invest in a company that doesn't even exist. A lot of times they'll call and offer travel packages that are free or low cost and get your personal information over the phone. They'll try to sell you credit card protection, send you things in the mail to offer payday or advance fee loans. And you've just got to be very, very careful about really looking into the detail of it. And again, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably isn't true. There's tons of fake businesses or charitable causes asking for immediate funds to assist in relief efforts. And right now with the pandemic that has happened, there is a huge inundation of scams involving COVID-19 and asking people to donate to various organizations. So be very, very alert and aware that you need to check into the different organizations that are asking for your money to make sure your hard-earned money is going to what you think it's going to for relief efforts. Another popular one is the unsolicited computer or virus repair, where they'll say that your Microsoft program isn't up to date and that you could get a virus, and they'll take your credit card information either in an email or over the phone. And then instead of actually repairing your computer or virus, they'll actually put malware or spyware on your computer and freeze it up and then call you back and say, hey, we froze it up. That was a scam, and you're going to have to send us money now for us to unlock it. So be aware that those are out there as well. And ways to avoid those types of scams for telemarketing and mail fraud is to ensure that you're dealing with the actual business. So do your own research, like I said. Don't just put in the name of the business in the search engine, but put words like complaint, review, or scam after the name of the business. And like before, don't trust your caller ID. Those can be spoofed. Hang up on any type of robocalls or recorded calls immediately. Don't stay on the phone and continue with their little scenario that they're working with. Choose your payment type wisely. If you do go with a telemarketer over the phone, make sure that it's a method where you can get your money back, possibly. And then talk to people that you trust. Don't just think that that you should trust these people because they've sent you something in the mail or called you on the phone. Talk to other people and see if other people have been victims of this as well, and be skeptical of unsolicited calls and, like Kim was talking about earlier, the trial offers. Next, I've got an example of mail fraud, and this is basically a offer to work from home type of scam, where they're sending you a check up front to pay for your services that you're going to provide. They're giving you a breakdown that you get to keep $400 for your first week's salary, and then they want you to go shopping at one of the retail outlets that they list, probably in the correspondence there. And then they'll tell you how much they want you to wire back to them via Western Union and the service charge for that, and that's the total of the check that they sent you. So they're trying to validate why they're sending you a check for that amount. On the unsolicited work scam, people will go to neighborhoods and canvass neighborhoods a lot when storms go through, and you've not necessarily requested that these people come and give you an estimate, but they'll stop by your house and say that they're in the neighborhood working on your neighbor's house and ask you for a down payment, things like that. And I know, Kim, you and I talked a little bit ago that this has actually happened to you in the past.
Yeah, so after it'd been like a bad, severe hailstorm, I know a couple of neighbors had gotten their roofs looked at, and they were going to have the roofs replaced. So my husband and I had ours checked out, and we were going to need that also. Roofers were just coming through the neighborhood, and we had somebody come to the door and offering, to do the bid on the roof and all that, and they were wanting 50% of the money up front and all this. And right then it was just a red flag to me. I'm like, well, why are they, requesting 50% up front? So obviously, we didn't sign anything or do anything. They were trying to say they did a roof on up the street, which that never really even happened. So you just really want to be sure you're asking for references. Be sure you see the proof of business license, insurance, their permits. And then if you're still in doubt, contact the Better Business Bureau, because that is a good resource to kind of call these perpetrators out. So they love to take advantage of people. So
very good. Thanks for sharing. The next one we'll talk about is the phishing scam, and this one has become very popular with the amount of people that are working from home due to the pandemic. Basically, they'll send out emails pretending to be from reputable companies, and what they're trying to do is get you to reveal personal information, passwords, credit card numbers, account numbers, because you think that it's a business that you actually do business with, or that it's coming from a financial institution. With the number of people that are working from home, I've got another poll for everyone. How many of you out there have been the victim of a phishing scam then? And we'll give you a few minutes to answer the poll here. I know that I've received a few of them, and I
feel like I do a lot of deleting.
Yes, absolutely.
On emails and that.
A few more minutes. And let's see if we have some poll results yet here. Looks like 86% this time have been the victim of phishing scams.
Yeah.
So, and no. 86% have not been the victim of.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's
very
great.
Good. Yeah.
So,
very
wow.
Good.
Very good. All right. Well, apparently, maybe they're just avoiding them.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
Yeah. To avoid phishing scams, then, if you have an email from someone that you don't recognize, or that you're not expecting an email from, you can look at it, but just don't click on any links that may be in it, and really try to be diligent about who is sending you emails and who you respond to. Again, check for spelling and grammar mistakes, and look at the way that they have the salutation. A lot of times it will not be Mr. or Mrs. Jones. The grammar of the salutation will not be proper English. Make sure you don't give out any personal information. Review the signature on it, who it's from. Again, don't open the attachment, and don't believe everything you see, and be very wary of any emails from government agencies. And they normally don't have your email address, especially the IRS, to send you personal emails.
No.
So go to the actual government site in order to get any further information if someone is pretending to be from a government agency. And these are the top 10 scams for 2020 that the Consumer Fraud Reporting Organization has reported. Debt collection, which is when someone calls saying that you have outstanding debt with them, and they'll harass you and try to get your personal information, credit card information, to get the debt taken care of over the phone immediately today. The next one is fake government official. So that would be the government emails, especially with the COVID-19 right now. Identity theft, phishing, and farming are the next ones. And that all involves getting your personal information, credit card, account numbers, etc. Phone scams, loan scams, and credit fixers, where people promise that they will make your credit score higher by fixing your credit, and there's tons of different loan scams out there. Again, the fake prize, sweepstakes, or lottery scams. Internet merchandise scams right now where you think it's a legitimate product, you send them money and you never receive anything in the mail. Automobile-related complaints, phishing and spoofing emails, and credit bureaus and related credit scams. And again, that's from the Consumer Fraud Reporting Organization that has the top 10 list there for 2020. In conclusion here, Kim talked about financial fitness is the key to financial longevity and gave you some pointers on how to get your finances in order. And awareness is key to avoiding being exploited by scam artists, and there's plenty of them out there. When in doubt, make sure you talk to someone you trust, whether that be a family, friend, your banker, but always talk to other people and get their opinion regarding the situation. And we have a list of different organizations out there that can help you decide if something is a scam or help you in some way financially not become a victim of a scam. The first one there is the National Council on Aging. AARP, everyone's familiar with, the American Association of Retired Persons. The Consumer FTC .gov is the Federal Trade Commission. USA.gov is basically the official guide to information and services of the U.S. government. And the do not call.gov is the National Do Not Call Registry that was created by the Federal Trade Commission that any telemarketers must use as guidance on who they are going to call or not call during their telemarketing campaigns. And then we've got the NASB.com/security center for any type of security scam questions here at NASB. And the Missouri Elder Abuse Hotline, if you go online, you can report abuse online as well as calling. And again, you can remain anonymous with that. So I would like to thank you so much for joining the webinar today.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions that you come up with that you'd like to ask down the road in a day or two, you can always send your questions to csr@nasb.com, and we will email you an answer to those questions. And just a reminder, we do have a short survey that we would love for you to fill out.
Yep, complete at the end. Yep.
Yep. And again, does anyone have any questions? We'll give a few minutes to answer those. Let's see. Our first question is, how do I register my number on the Do Not Call registry? That is one of the links that we will give you at the completion of the webinar today. Along with the last slide, you'll have all of these items sent out to you in an email so that you can reference back to them. But it's very simple to go to that link and fill out your phone numbers that you want to register, along with an email address, and there was one other thing that they asked on it. So I I believe if they can text you and you just verify that you have been signed up for the do not call registry. It's very simple. So.
And it does work.
Yes, it does.
Work.
And you can register your family members as well on that. We've got one more question that has come in, and I'll let Kim take that.
Okay. As a bank, what form of identity will you ask me to verify I am who you say I am, and why will you not ask, and what else will you ask of me? And how can I be sure that someone isn't pretending to be NASB when they ask for my information?
Let's look at it again.
As a bank, what form of identity?
We do ask for
a
driver's
current. Mm-hmm.
Yes, driver's license. We do have a list of different types of identification that we have to use to verify someone's identity when they come in to open an account. And there are certain ones that are excluded from that list as well. And
we do actually encourage you to set up a password. So if you're one of those that want to call in to get information or get balances, that type of thing, I mean, it is a great idea to set up a password on your accounts that only you will know. So that's another thing that we would potentially ask for.
And if you think that someone is pretending to send an email or calling from NASB, you can always call us back at one of the branch locations or our customer service phone number to verify the person calling was actually from NASB. And if you think that you have an email that is from NASB, you can always send it to the nasb.com/security center that's listed on this last page here that you'll also receive in an email.
Yep.
So, all right. It doesn't look like we have any other questions, so we are going to let you go. And again, we appreciate your attendance at the webinar today.
Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.